Yeah, hello there. House prices fell in every region of the UK last year except London and the southwest of England. And the gap between the price of a home in the north and in the south is at its widest since records began. According to the Nationwide, the price of the average home stood at just over £162,000 in December, down 1% on the year before, down 12% there or thereabouts from the peak that we saw back in October 2007. Much, of course, depends on where you live. Property values in Cambridge saw the biggest rises, according to the Nationwide. The biggest falls were in Bradford and in Manchester, where you can see the price of the average home fell by 9%. With me now, the estate agent, Henry Pryor. I say estate agent, Henry, your job and your clients employ you to help them buy homes rather than sell them. The Nationwide is very clear that 2012 was pretty flat overall, and they think more of the same in 2013. Do you share their assessment? Treading water?
Well, it would be churlish to ignore the views of the country's largest building society. They have an extremely diligent and robust house price model, but frankly there are a blizzard of these statistics that are released every month, and of course over Christmas and the New Year we see more of the same with forecasts for the following year, for 2013 in this case. We saw over Christmas their competitors at Halifax talking about Southend-on-Sea, seeing in the most staggering price rise rather than Cambridge, which is what the Nationwide have said this morning. The Halifax thought that Southend had gone up by 15%, but actually what was more interesting and more relevant for those of us who are perhaps a little more cautious when it comes to what the lenders are talking about, we saw the Land Registry, who obviously produce an index based on sale prices, publish their latest views yesterday, and they actually marked Southend-on-Sea as having a rather more modest 3.7% rise.
Give us some sort of sense of the regional variation as you see it. I mean, London seems to be a law unto itself when it comes to house prices. They only go one way and that's up.
Well, so it would seem, but I think it's very important that we remember that house price indices provide a great deal of gossip and chat, particularly amongst the property world, those that are buying and selling property, but they do ignore a huge swathe of the housing population who aren't involved at this particular moment in buying or selling or indeed letting or renting. We know, for example, that a third of the market, those that occupy homes across the UK, rent their properties either from social or private landlords, and as a result, they're not incorporated in these. But if you look at some of the housing indices, particularly those that are based on asking prices, the Rightmove, for example, the big property website, produce one every month, and there they're talking about asking prices across 2012 going up by about 3%. Now, what that means is that vendor expectations, those who are selling houses, still haven't quite appreciated that if you look at the deal prices as reflected by the Land Registry and the Office of National Statistics, we know that across England and Wales, house prices are still 11% below their peak in 2007. Across Wales itself, they're 15%, and the northeast of England and the northwest of England, they are nearly 20% below their peaks.
But looked at in the round, it's very hard, Henry, surely, to conclude anything other than the fact that house prices will continue to fall, albeit at a fairly modest rate. I mean, fundamentally, it's still, if you look at what's happened to, in real terms, if you look at what's happened to incomes, relative or compared with house prices, affording a home for most people is incredibly tricky.
Being able to afford to buy a new home, your first home or indeed your second home in 2013 is going to be incredibly difficult. It's not that lenders haven't woken up and heard the cries from government and from the Treasury that they need to open their books. We'll see funding for lending kicking into the housing market through 2013, probably through Q1 or Q2. You can't throw £5 to £10 billion worth of money at the mortgage market and it not have some effect. But the problem isn't people being able to afford the sort of repayments and the costs of buying a house these days. It's accessibility, the difficulties for people producing the huge deposits that they still require in order to afford some of these products.
OK, access to credit is an issue. What about confidence, though? When people come to you and are looking to buy, surely they must look at what's happened over the last 5 years with some degree of caution. If house prices are falling, why wouldn't they fall further? Is now a great time to buy?
Well, they could indeed fall much further, and we've seen in Northern Ireland house prices in Craigavon, for example, down 18% through 2012, according to the Halifax Christmas survey. But I think that the thing that most people should need to remember is that for those that are buying and selling in the same market, value is a relative term. If you're going to lose money on the house you're selling, or perceived to lose money on the house you're selling, the chances are the house you're going to buy will be equally affected. it's those that are trying to get on the housing ladder at the bottom, or those indeed trying to come out at the top, who stand to suffer the most. But with these comes opportunities, and I think that 2013 is going to provide opportunity for a lot of people.
OK, Henry Pryor, thank you very much for coming here and sharing your thoughts on that with us.